The fourth season of The Boys has just finished, so it is time to stop and rank all four seasons of The Boys from the least best to the best, because there isn't a bad season yet. Let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome back to Geek City, and I just gotta say this was a very difficult list to put together because I love this show. I love all four seasons. Well, one of them I don't love, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I really enjoy all four seasons, and so this was very difficult to put together, but I finally figured it out. And yeah, let's get started again. This is just my opinion. Like I've said with all these rankings, this is just my opinion. Let me know how you would rank these four seasons, because I'd love to hear what you say. This is just me having fun, talking to you guys about how I would rank the four seasons. And I'll talk about why, of course, but this is just my opinion, what I think. So I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments down below. And let's get started. Easily in last place, this might be controversial, Season 3. Now, this is one that I've looked up online that some people consider this just peak, like the best season of the show. And some people don't like it. I kind of lean more toward that side. Now, there is still a lot to enjoy here. I think Soldier Boy was such a fun inclusion. Something new. I feel like we need a new antagonist every season. So, of course, you still have Homelander, but I feel like you need somebody new. Like, for example, with Season 2, we had Stormfront. And this season, we had Soldier Boy to kind of be that. He's just a fun, raunchy version of Captain America. And Jensen Ackles did a perfect job playing this role. So every scene that he is in, he absolutely steals the show. He is so good that although he only appears in like 3 episodes where he's actually like present day, like there are flashbacks, but when you only see actual present day Soldier Boy, he's only in like 3 episodes, but everybody fell in love with him, and it seems like they're going to be getting him in Season 5 because they set that up at the end of Season 4. So he was a lot of fun, but I feel like this season was so focused on Soldier Boy, about finding like the bullet or something that kills him, and his team, they're called Payback or something, and so a lot of the episodes are focused on them, and I just wasn't appealed by that. Now I do think this season did get better as it went along, and we'll talk about that in a second. But like the episode where Kimiko and Frenchie go to like the Vought-Land or whatever, and they find Crimson Countess and all that, and then the stuff like that I just wasn't very interested in. So I feel like there's a lot less stakes with this one, because the two plots are, number one, Homelander at Vought Tower, for the first 5 episodes at least. We'll talk about the last 3, but the first 5 episodes is plot 1, Homelander insulting members of the Seven or doing something evil. Plot 2, the boys looking for some of the members of Payback and trying to find more information on Soldier Boy. That's the first 5 episodes, every single episode. Now, once you get to episode 6 and up, it changes. We have Herogasm, which is some people consider it the best episode. I wouldn't say that. We'll talk about why in a second. But that still is, a nice change of pace, because that's actually when Soldier Boy full-on joins the plot, because that's when he gets that really cool fight between Butcher, Soldier Boy, Huey, and Homelander. And then episode 8, although a lot of people don't like the finale, I really enjoyed it. I actually thought it was cool. That fight at Vought Tower was really cool, and Queen Maeve's sacrifice. I also think the inclusion of Tempt V is a very good subplot, because there's this division of Mother's Milk and Frenchie, and, well, not Kimiko, because she already has V, but Frenchie and Mother's Milk refuse to take it. They feel like that's crossing the line, that's hypocritical, but Butcher and Huey are like, we gotta take this. We need to do whatever we can to stop the soups. And Butcher's decisions in that season are still affecting the show. He was so dedicated that, he took all this Tempt V, and it's affecting him now. So I thought that was a really interesting subplot that is very much driving the story here. I also think that this season is the most crude, just to be crude. In episode 1, did we really need to see a dude shrink down and go? And you've seen this season, you know what I'm talking about. I get it's kind of making fun of the whole Ant-Man going down to the Thanos and blowing up. It's kind of showing that. But we didn't need to see that. I think the crudeness of the boys works when it's actually part of the plot. Like, I feel like in Season 4, that dude that can clone himself and doing the human centipede, it's a short moment. It's only like 10 or 15 seconds. but he's actually a part of the plot because he has that big fight scene with all them. This is there because he blows up and then they capture him and then we don't, like, that's it. That's all there really is to it. And then Herogasm, I get it's a part of the comic book, so they wanted to adapt it and go all out. Did we need a scene where they put a camera in the toilet so we see people dumping on the toilet? Do we need to see that? Stuff like that where it's like, you could have adapted the comic, but you didn't have to go all out like that. You could have been more focused on the scenes individual, like the ones with Mother Milk and Soldier Boy. That's the stuff you could have focused on in the episode. Of course, it's taking place at Herogasm, so it will still be there. But we didn't need a camera in a toilet. We didn't need stuff like that. We didn't need all of this. I appreciate that they went all out. They really wanted to adapt it properly. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know this. But again, although there are a lot of issues, I still enjoy this season. This is just the one I will not rewatch. Well, it's the least rewatchable to me. Soldier Boy's a lot of fun. There's still great action. It's funny. I like the whole Timothy thing. And I like the final episode in here. I love the ending with Homelander killing the protester and all that. There are things I like about it. This has some great Homelander moments, like the "I am better," that speech, stuff like that I really like. The individual moments, but the overall story, I just feel like the season didn't work for me. Still like it, but it didn't work for me that well. Next up, season 4, the newest season of The Boys. I just did a spoiler review on this one, so I won't be talking about it as much as seasons 1, 2, and 3, because I haven't talked about those, but I've already talked about this one, so I won't be going into as much of detail. But I think this season, every single episode is solid. They're all enjoyable. I could easily rewatch any episode of this season at any point. This has some great new characters in here with Sister Sage and Firecracker. I really enjoy them. I think they add a lot to the story. They're actually important, and they're interesting, new, and unique characters. I like a lot of the individual characters in this. Like I just said earlier, with A-Train and his arc, and you're seeing him grow and change and wanting to help the boys, realizing that he's not a hero. He's been a part of this corrupt corporation, how he wants to change that, so he's helping the boys. Butcher, who is dying, so he's like, oh, what have I been doing? What I've been so dedicated to killing the Supes that I'm just been destroying myself, and I haven't really accomplished anything, so he's so dedicated. That's what I find really interesting about the Butcher character. A lot of other great things in here. Such a lot of great episodes in here. I love episode 4 where Homelander goes to his old laboratory, and then the thing with Huey's dad was so emotional. The stuff with Web Weaver in here was weird, creepy, but it kind of moved the plot around. So stuff like that, it was a little much, like I was saying about season 3. Did we need to see all that stuff with Web Weaver? No, but nothing I can change about it. I love the final episode. Whoa, this is mind blown. I thought that was really good, and I cannot wait for season 5. I love the cliffhanger of this season. I just really like what they're doing with Homelander. He's sick of everything. He's like, you guys will not, you just suck up to me. Like with the blow A-Train thing. I know it's funny, it's crude and all that. That's kind of he's like, the fact that the Deep is willing to do it is just proving the point there. Stuff like that I really, really dug about the season. So I really enjoyed a lot of it. Every episode's enjoyable. I like a lot of the character moments. There were a few things in here. Wasn't a fan of Huey's mom, being forgiven and all that. She left her kid for like 20 years because she was feeling down on her luck. Come on now. The whole thing with I feel like there weren't a lot of stakes. Like there was no, other than the final episode where 2 pretty important characters died, nobody from the 7 where the boys died. Those group of characters barely ever get hurt, and I guess that's a problem for the whole series in general, but especially in this season, they were setting up A-Train could have sacrificed himself. That could really, really show that Homelander's gone just mad, but we didn't get to see that. There are a few decisions that I need to kind of sit on a little more. I need to wait till season 5, with something. I'm not gonna spoil here specific deaths, but there's one death in particular that I'm like, okay, I need to wait to see how they handle that in season 5. Maybe that'll change my opinion. I'm not a fan of Frenchie in here. I've already talked about it. It doesn't have anything to do with him and Colin. That's not why. It's just weird that, he's depressed all of a sudden, so he turns himself in and all that. But again, ton of fun action scenes. The stuff at the farm with the the V'd up shape. It was cool to see Stan Egger again. So overall, I really enjoyed the season. I really liked a lot of the episodes in here. A few complaints, but I still really enjoy it, and this is one that I'll be rewatching a lot. Coming in at number 2, season 2. There was a time where I thought this was better than season 1. I rewatched the show with season 4, and I was like, okay, there's one issue. Let's talk about the good things first. Number 1, I love Stormfront. I don't love Stormfront. I love the inclusion of Stormfront. She's a terrible person. I hate her. You don't like her, but she's a great antagonist. She's a terrible person. She's a Nazi. I mean, what do you mean? So she's a terrible, terrible person. So I think she adds a lot of, Homelander now has another psychopath that he's fallen in love with. So it's like Bonnie and Clyde with superpowers type thing that was, just really menacing. This is the one where they're filming. I think it's called Dawn of Seven or something. That was a lot of fun. I love the stuff with the boat and the whale. I wasn't a big fan of the whole the cult thing that the Deep and A-Train were a part of and all that. That was a subplot that I was like, okay, what are they doing here? But just the overall premise of this season, with the boys being on the run, they're hunted because of the framing of Stillwell's death. That's the big push of this season. And that's really enjoyable. I really dug that. I like stories like this where our heroes are on the run. And so this is one of those stories. So they're having to they're having to hide from the Seven. So that because of that, there are a lot of fun chase scenes in here. Again, the reveal of Stormfront being a Nazi and all that. And let's talk about that final episode, which was just, I think the final episode of season 2 might be my favorite episode. Probably. There are so many things in here. The girls do get it done. That was so much fun. That was a joke that they started at the beginning of the season, and it actually pays off with Queen Maeve, Kimiko, and Starlight teaming up to beat up this terrible person that we hate. That was obviously satisfying. Everything with Becca's death in here was just so emotional, and Homelander covered in blood and everything. All of that was just so good. So that final episode was just so good. A lot of fun action in there. So I really enjoyed that. My one criticism is I feel like the first 2 to 3 episodes, first 2 I think, were kind of boring. They weren't boring, but I wasn't hooked. I feel like every other season 3 maybe, but this season I was like, for the first episode I was like, okay, what are we doing here? But again, once they got on that boat and they were, with Kimiko's brother, once we got to that in episode 3, that's when the whale thing happens. Once we get to that, then we're good. We're good. Everything after that, so good. Stormfront, fight scenes, even a lot of chase scenes in here, filming the movie, all that stuff I really, really, really enjoyed. Those first 2 episodes, though, I don't know. I wasn't really into them that much. But I really enjoyed this one. There's not much more to talk about this season. I just thought overall, really solid season. This is another one. Well, I'll be rewatching them all. I don't know why. I'm not going to say this is the one I'll be rewatching because there's only 4 of them, so most likely I'll be rewatching them a lot. But coming in at number 1, come on. We all knew this is happening. Season 1. I love this show, but I don't know how they could top this season. Every single episode is up here, man. Every single episode. I love that first episode where you have Robin getting murdered by A-Train, and you have this angry dude who wants to avenge his girlfriend, and so he joins this group called the Boys, and you're seeing them being recruited over time with Frenchie, and then Mother's Milk, and then Kimiko. All of that was so much fun. Since this is our first season, being introduced to the 7 over time, it's a little different from this season, so I feel like they had that of, we're still kind of scared of these characters. I feel like by season 4, we've seen them so much. It's funny to think about now. The Deep is now, the stupid character that's funny, but that first episode, it's, what he's doing is dark. What he does to Starlight, now he's just the stupid Aqua dude who has relationships with sea animals. But in this first episode, he's doing bad things. And he's actually kind of menacing. He's like, you won't be on the 7 if you don't, stuff like that. That was actually like, wow. And then Homelander was terrifying because, again, we didn't have all the memes yet. We didn't have all that. So all we saw was this terrifying dude who can do whatever he wants, and he will get away with it. And he knows that, and he uses that to. I think a perfect example of that is Flight 37. I forgot the name, but that flight scene where him and Queen Maeve go to the airplane, and then he just doesn't feel like saving them. That's his reason. He doesn't feel like it. That's terrifying. That someone just doesn't want to. So they won't. They just don't want to. That's something about that. It's just so menacing. So of course Anthony Starr is great, and he needs an Emmy or something. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't have one yet. So I think that this season, since we're being introduced to everything, it has that advantage. So every single episode, we're being introduced to a new character. We're learning more about them. And so it's cool to see a lot of the paybacks from this season to season 4 and how these characters have grown, how Butcher's gone from this confident dude who's kind of just backstabbing everybody because he's so dedicated to killing Supes. That's now a problem in season 4 is he was so dedicated, so now he's dying because of his mistakes and his decisions. Stuff like that. So I thought that this season, of course, all these seasons I like, but there's something about this season, there's some magic to it, where, you're seeing Huey and Annie's relationship building, boys, everything like that I just thought you can't recapture that. I don't know if any season will be able to top this. I love this whole show. Every season, even season 3 that I kind of, criticized a lot, all of them I really enjoyed, but there's something about this season that I simply don't think can be beat. So, that's how I would rank the 4 seasons. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you guys say. This is small enough of a channel that I read every comment because there's not a lot of them. So I like to kind of communicate with people. So let me know in the comments how you would rank these seasons. If you did enjoy this video, drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I don't know if I'll do any more of the boys content this season. Maybe a character ranking or something. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Like the video, subscribe, and as always, stay geeky.